Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 60 of Optimal Living Advice, the podcast where we take any questions you might have about the many struggles of life, and we get them answered for you here on the show. I am your host, certified life coach Greg Audino. Very, very nice to have you all here today. We've got a good question on tap, a good question about pain and how it can exist to different degrees and just how tough we should expect ourselves and others to be. Sounds like pretty good stuff to me. So, without further ado, let's check it out and see if we can help out. I sometimes feel bad about having what people call first world problems. I feel like my problems aren't taken seriously due to other bigger problems in the world. I do sympathize with what other people less fortunate have to go through. Is this a sign that I should toughen up? And there we have it. Very, very appropriate question right now, given all the mass hysteria going every which way. I can only imagine your feelings of guilt have recently spiked because of that, and for that I'm very sorry. It's a great question, though. It's a really great question. It's pretty easy to start shaming ourselves, especially once we've been shamed by enough other people, and that definitely goes for the degree of problems we face, among other things. But let's break this thing down, and I'm going to start with an objectively true statement, all right? An objectively true statement. Now, the truth is, you could take three people. You could place one of those people in the middle of a large crowd. You could place another one of those people in a closed room with a tarantula. And you could place the last person in front of someone who's aiming a loaded gun at them. And depending on the three people you choose and the experiences they've had in the past or their genetic composition, all three of them could be experiencing the exact same level of fear. The person who's being held at gunpoint may very well be the most relaxed of the three, but it would take some real ignorance to start telling someone with severe social anxiety or arachnophobia to simply get over it or toughen up, you know? And this is really just one example out of billions of scenarios, really, that would have the exact same message. The thing is, we're all fragile to different things in different ways, period. There's no arguing with that. We have different levels of fragility to different triggers and different levels of fragility to the work necessary to overcome those triggers as well. So there would be a lot to sift through here if we were going to get everyone on the same level, so to speak, the same level of fear. And the takeaway is that you do not need to apologize for or minimize your problems. Definitely not. Given your unique history and chemistry, the problems you face make perfect sense for you. You're certainly not wrong for having your feelings, and those who say you are wrong for having your feelings are clearly not being respectful to why you have them. They're instead being respectful to why they have their problems, or why others have more presumably severe problems, and the fact that they feel themselves and others would be unaffected or less affected by the stressors that you face. Okay, so they're trying to open your mind to what problems really look like, but they're in fact closing their own minds as to what problems really look like, if that makes sense. That ignorance and refusal to understand is very much an error of theirs, not of yours. Based on your question, however, it seems like you are ready or willing to put more seemingly detrimental problems into perspective. It seems maybe you do wish you had a little bit thicker skin, we'll call it. And that's good for all of us, to not be so overwhelmed by the problems that we face. So should that be the case, then to answer your question, yes, you should toughen up, but you should toughen up the right way. And I have a feeling people haven't encouraged toughening up the right way for you just yet. So toughening up the right way is not about shaming yourself. It's not about saying that your problems don't matter. It's not about trying not to have feelings. When people tell others to toughen up, this is what they mean a lot of the time. And I want to say they're morons, but realistically, they're just misinformed and probably coming from a place that didn't encourage anything better or anything healthier. So you can only throw so much blame around until you're behaving the exact same way, really. But toughening up the right way is instead about taking ownership of your fears, understanding that they're entirely justifiable given who you are at this point in time, and not apologizing for them. That's the first step, the step upon which you can start to rebuild and create new experiences for yourself that then potentially change what you're fearful of. Once you're accepting of your fears, You do the self-work necessary that actually toughens you up the right way. You confront your fears head on. You discover where they came from. You discover how you're projecting the past onto the unrelated present. You put them into perspective for yourself, not for others. So this means learning how these fears realistically could or could not harm you. Most of the time, the ways in which they could harm us, should they come true, are actually quite minimal given what we're capable of overcoming. And through all of this, a lot of magic can happen, even if you still have residual fear left over. You will have been one of the people who was brave enough to look fear in the eye and take control of your life back. You'll be able to see how pain affects different people in different ways. You'll be able to understand why people judge the pain of others and not judge those people yourself. You'll understand that pain is bred of experience. And best of all, you'll have the humility to say to yourself, I'm allowed to struggle with my pain and also feel sympathy for those who have it much worse. And that'll do it, folks. In conclusion, yes, we should all toughen up. We owe it to ourselves to toughen up, but it has to be done the right way. Toughening up and not showing yourself sympathy or understanding, they are definitely not the same thing, nor should they be. So, I hope everyone took something from this episode. Asker, I hope you got what you were looking for, and I thank you for sending this largely applicable question in to us. Anyone else, if you have a question you'd like answered, please keep them coming. You can email us your questions at advice@oldpodcast.com. advice@oldpodcast.com. We'll take a look and we will do our best to help you out here on the show. For more content, you can find us at oldpodcast.com, and then I am at gregaudino.com. Lots of content for you in both places, including some killer newsletters. So get on in there. I'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you so much for stopping in, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.